Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of this channel. Before anything else, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Siddharth and I have been running a digital agency for the past 3 years. In these 3 years, I have worked with international clients and made more than 300 websites, softwares, AI automations and multiple digital stuff that I'll be sharing with you. And through this channel, I just want to share all my experiences, my knowledge, and I want to learn a bit more from you guys if possible. And I just want to document this journey of all of us growing together. Now, without wasting much time, let us quickly start with this video. So, in this video, we'll be making a website from scratch using AI tools only. Now, why am I doing this is when I started development, AI was not a very prominent thing and we did not rely much on it. So now when AI came, a lot of people tried vibe coding, but as you all must be aware that vibe coded websites aren't always the most deployable ones. So today I'll be telling you how you can actually make a fully modern deployable website using AI tools and what all inputs you actually need to provide from your end, what all can AI do, and which AI is best for what. So we'll be covering two major AIs in this, which are obviously Claude and ChatGPT, and we'll be checking out their best versions, their latest releases. So let us quickly hop in. So before we actually develop a website, so the concept of this video is that I have no idea what I'll be building and I haven't even created a single file or folder or haven't written any prompt till now. So I'm trying to keep this very raw so that you actually know how the process of building a website actually is. Okay, so first thing first is ideation. Ideation is the stage that comes before designing, before anything else. And in this stage, we try to visualize the entire website, we try to visualize the product, we try to visualize the concept. And to do that, we either need a whiteboard, a digital whiteboard, pen, paper, or if you are a very imaginative person, your imagination is also enough. So let us see. The first thing that I'll be doing here is I'll go to Miro. So Miro is kind of like a whiteboard or online whiteboard that is on Chrome. You can access it on Chrome. So let me quickly enter Miro. Okay, so as I said that I'll be trying to keep the entire website making procedure very raw. So I have not yet thought of what website we'll be making. I'm thinking of something that goes a bit more on the luxurious side. So any luxury product, it can be let's say, if you want, it can be a perfume, it can be sneakers, or anything that comes in the luxury segment or can come in the luxury segment. We can even go with water or wine maybe, and if not that, let's go with plants because I have a lot of things to cover and I think plants would be good. So for this video, we'll be making a website for plants. So there would be a company that sells plants. And for from what I think we can do is we can make we can name this company. So okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to name our company, we are going to name our brand. So let's call it Planted. If Planted is already a company, I'm really sorry. I'm doing this just for a demo. So this is a name that I've thought of and I don't know if it's a brand yet. So once we have all this, okay, this is usually all of this is provided to us by the client. Now let us hop on to the actual thing. So when we have our product and our segment, let us say we know that the product is plants and then we know that it is on the luxurious side. So we have two keywords here. Now whenever we are making a luxurious site, what happens is we usually try to keep it bold, and at the same time it is minimal. So what these two things mean is, if you'll see some websites, so some websites have this home page with a banner, and on the banner there is one button, two button, some text and image over here. So that is how the hero section of the site looks. So hero section is actually the first top section of any page. It is known as hero section. So that is how the hero section of most of the sites look. But when we are talking about a luxurious site, the hero section actually looks something like, if this is the screen, this is the first screen, so then there would be a very big image of the product, and a very bold text written behind it, and all of this would either be animated, or all of this would be an animation itself, or maybe a 3D model. Okay, so this is what we usually try to do, a bold minimalistic website whenever it is luxurious. So then when we are talking about luxury indirectly means storytelling. And why is that so? Because when we are talking about a luxurious website, we have to keep in mind that we are no longer selling a product. So when it is about luxury, so luxury means selling an experience. Okay, selling an experience. And why is that so? It is because a plant can be sold at a price point of around let's say $7 to $8, and you can also sell these plants for, let us say, $70 to $100. And if you are really good at it, if you are really good at your product, at your marketing, so plants you can also sell them for $200+. Okay, so this is a very huge range, and to justify this range, the brands have to provide something. And if we are talking about providing that something digitally, that is usually a digital experience that can be provided through a website. And then that website no longer is just a simple website, it becomes a web experience. Okay, now let us quickly understand how can we make a web experience ourselves. So for a web experience we need, as I said, a story. And for plants, I'll try to tell the process that this company of ours goes through to bring each and every plant to your doorstep. Okay, so the first thing that we'll be doing is that how are the seeds collected, and then the second step would be how are they taken care of, or how are they nurtured, and then what all is provided. And once I have that, then we can hop on to how it is. Okay, so this is a story that we'll be telling through this website. And so obviously this is just a reference website, so we do not know what all we need to tell. But when you have a product, if a client tells you something, so you have a lot of things that you already know and you can tell. So for now we are just doing this 4 things. So I'll be making all this into a story, and then I'll be working on the actual website. And now also at this point only I'll have to decide that what is the color palette that I'll be choosing, because it is very necessary for a website to have a color palette. If a website does not have its own color palette, that can be really bad, that can go against the branding. So usually what happens is that if a client already has a brand or a brand kit, then we are provided with that, which includes all the fonts, all the designs, all the typographies, and all the color themes which we have to use. But since we don't have one here, so we'll just think of a luxurious theme that is based around green. So now our first AI tools, this is here where our first AI tool steps in. So that is ChatGPT. So what I'll do is I'll ask it that in this chat I'll be asking you for images, assets, content, and everything for a luxurious plant website called Planted. For the first thing I want to use, give me a luxury based around the for our website. Now the model here is automatically set to 5.6 Tera Lite. I'll just shift it to Sol Medium. Let us see. So once you put in the command, as you can see here, our ChatGPT pet has started working on it, and this is the color theme that we have got. Okay, so I'll just test it. Okay, now while it's doing this, I also have to tell you about one very important thing, which is skills. So whenever you install ChatGPT or Claude on your system, on your computer, so there is this thing known as skills. So skills are basically a predefined set of instructions for particular tasks. Let's say for image generation, ChatGPT has a different skill, as you can see over here, and for web designing it would have another skill. So that is what skills are, and they are very helpful. But what most people do is that they install these skills manually. But you can generate these, you can ask these AI models themselves to install all the required skills based on what you do. So I just told ChatGPT that I do all this work, and now take access of my computer and install all your skills that you think I would require later. So it just did that. It installed all the skills itself. I did not have to set anything manually. Okay, so here's the first image that it has made, which looks decent if we use this color theme. Okay, now I'll ask it, can you generate sample hero section? Okay, so now it will generate another image, and we wait till then. Till it's doing that, I'll just quickly tell you a few more things, which include, first of all, the tech stack. So if you are a student or maybe a beginner web developer or a complete beginner who wants to step into this field as a freelancer, or if you want to upgrade yourself, obviously you need to know these things. First one is tech stack. So tech stack is what all specific technical things we'll be using for a website. Okay, usually includes the languages we'll be coding this in and all the extra plugins and everything that we'll be using. So for now, just skip the plugins and all, focus on two things. One is Next.js, other is React.js. So these two, and plus another one that I'll be telling you today about, that is Three.js. So these all are JavaScript libraries on which all of the modern looking sites that you see are made on, and these are really very simple to deploy, very simple to manage, very simple to make using AI. So AI is very good at these languages, especially React. Okay, now what is the difference? So ignore Three.js for now, it is basically for a separate purpose, but React and Next. So Next.js is basically a JavaScript framework that is made on React, and React is again a JavaScript framework itself. So React.js is a website that allows you to make multiple components of different things. So just think of it that instead of using, like, if I want a particular button in my site again and again, so instead of typing the code manually, I just create it into a component, or maybe a section, I make it into a component and I can add it wherever I want in my site. And also the site will only load, so it will only load a particular component when it's needed. If it's not on the page, if it's not needed, it does not get loaded. So that makes the site very compatible, that makes the site very light and fast. Okay, and Next.js is when you specifically have to be very precise on SEO. So search engine optimization of Next.js is extremely good. If you do not want that, if you do not want a very defined backend, because in Next.js you can write the backend and front end together, and in React.js you need to write the backend and front end separately. So obviously you do not need to go a lot into the technical details if you want to wipe code, but if you want to do this professionally, you will have to learn all this. So this is how it is showing my home page would look, the hero section. Honestly, I like it, but it's not very unique, but the color combination is good. So I'll be moving on with this only. Okay. So now here's my concept for the uh, hero section. We'll be building this entire website around a plant. Okay. So what I mean by that is, I hope that you have seen those websites where there's this concrete element in the middle and then the whole site is built around it. So that is the type of site that we'll be targeting today. So now what I'll do is I'll ask this to I don't even know if something like luxury plants exist, but here we are. Also, this little thing that you see here, this is known as a ChatGPT pet. So ChatGPT actually allows you to make these. It has a lot of default pets, but you can also make or get custom pets. So these basically stay on your desktop, on your browser, or wherever you want. So they are always there, and you can hide them if you want, but I feel that they are pretty cute. So yeah, that's another thing. For this video, another thing that I wanted to say, for this video, what we'll be doing is that we'll be using ChatGPT for the content and for assets and all these things, but for the main development we'll be shifting to Claude. In my personal opinion, Claude code is very good uh, in generating websites and all these things. In writing code, it is very good. This looks very good actually, the image that it has generated. So what I'll do is, now we'll be using two separate tools. I have this image, I'll quickly copy this, and now I'll move on to the next tool that we'll be using. It is known as Meshy.ai. So Meshy.ai is basically used for generating 3D models from images or from text. So I'll just upload this image and generate a 3D model of this plant, highly realistic and very high. Now Meshy takes a little bit of time in generating, so we'll just wait for that, and once that will be done, I'll just get back. Alright, so Meshy has generated the model. Let us quickly have a look at it. So if you'll see, it is actually a very good plant model that it has generated. So I'll download it in GLB format, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it is basically a file format for 3D assets that can easily be imported into Blender. Okay, so the next thing that we'll be covering is Blender and Three.js. So Three.js is actually another framework of JavaScript, and it is used to integrate 3D objects in a website. Now what do I mean by that? So to understand this further, you will need to understand a very simple thing. When we are working on a website is a plain 2D surface based, basically a website is two-dimensional. What it means is that it has a height and a width. Okay, so a website has a height and a width, but when we talk about 3D object, they basically have three things, which are height, width, and you can say volume. Okay, so that is a very simple concept that I hope that most of the people here would be aware about. So now when we work in Three.js, so what Three.js does is that it makes our 2D website into a 3D space, so that we can integrate a 3D object that we can later interact or interact with, or maybe just leave it animated if we want, or anything. So we use the library Three.js for this purpose and this purpose only. And the next thing we have is Blender. So for those of you who don't know, Blender is the best, I would say, and also the most beginner friendly, and also the most famous tool for 3D modeling and maybe 3D animations and everything, and all of these things. It is free and it is a very popular tool, and most of the 3D designers, 3D artists, 3D animators, they use Blender. So what I'll do is I'll quickly open Blender now. Right, so we have Blender open over here now, but I won't be doing anything as of now. I'll just keep it as it is. I have downloaded my GLB file, and now what we are going to do is we are going back to ChatGPT. Okay, and why is that so? I'll tell you in a second. So we'll just quickly move back to ChatGPT, and now what I'll do is I So what I've done here is I have told it my idea of what I think that the website would be, and then in the end I asked it if it got the concept correctly. Now why is that important? Because AI can a lot of time assume a lot of things, so we have to make sure that it gets the concept. So as this is a demo website, I have not put in a very detailed prompt. This is a very basic, very small prompt that I have put in, and now let us read the response. So it says that it got it. The plot is simply a product image. Now this is another prompt, and the chances of this prompt working are actually 50-50. So okay, it is using a skill. Cool. Okay, so in this prompt, what I have done is I have asked it to give me the photo of the first 5 sections. So now it has proposed a visual story, which is the mature plant. Okay, so what it did here, basically it just gave me a story, and again I'm saying, since this is a demo website, I'm not paying a lot of attention to what this is, and even if this is not completely correct, these images generated are not completely correct, we just need them for a reference later for Claude, and that is the steps that we are going to follow. Now till it's doing that, I'll also do another thing. I'll quickly go to my computer and I'll make a folder anywhere that I want and I'll name it planted. Okay, so this will help me open this folder across ChatGPT and Claude and work in the same directory later on if I want to. Now let us wait for it to generate all the other 5 to 6 images. Over here, ChatGPT has actually generated pretty good images, and this actually looks pretty nice. So now what I'll do is I'll just do one last thing. I'll ask it to explain me the story and the design concept and the overall story concept of this site in one paragraph. So I can get something there too. So now I have just asked it to give me a basic prompt basically, or to tell me what the concept of this site is going to be, and it is giving me that also. So now what I'll quickly do is I'll just copy all these images here to here. These are 5 images in documents, and from documents I'll shift them to planted. As you can see, there's this planted. So what I did just now was that I shifted all these images to planted, and now the next thing that I'm going to do is actually start developing this website, and I'll quickly first copy this, and now I'll move on to Claude. This is where we start with the actual development work. This is pretty important, and I hope you all have followed the steps till now, because now is where we'll enter the actual development. It is very important to tell Claude what we are working on and to tell it very nicely, okay? Because that is the thing that matters most to it. The first thing that we do is we open the folder where we want it to work. So as I said, I have made planted folder and I have opened this, and I'll quickly shift it to bypass permission, and I can use Fable 5, but for now I won't be using Fable 5. I'll be just sticking to Opus, or actually cool. So I will be actually using Fable 5 later on, not now because it drains the limit very fast. So I need it only at those points where I need very good design improvements. Okay, so now I'll paste the copied content, and I'll read it first. Create planted. So it has given a very good prompt, because again we are making a demo site. Now I'll tell it a few things. The GLB file for the plant is in the downloads folder. Use your blend MCP to work on it however you like. And I'll also upload the images over here, so that I have uploaded the latest images of the site for installation. Okay, so I have given it a little bit more instructions that the GLB file that we downloaded is in the downloads folder, and it can use Blender if it wants to. Okay, and now this will be very vibrant and also responsive. Now for those of you who do not know what responsive is, responsive basically means that a website will look good on multiple devices. So this means that my website will work on a laptop, a PC, a TV, a phone, a tablet, any device, but the website would still look good. That is known as a responsive website, and it is very important. Okay. Another thing that you all have to keep in mind is that this website is a high-end website, and we are assuming that since this is a luxurious product, the people who would be buying this would have good devices. So this website might not be very optimized for low-end devices, and might hang on a device if its technical specs are lower than the minimal requirements for such sites. Okay, and that is why I particularly mentioned that this would be a luxury website. So luxury products, luxury clients, or whatever, uh, they have a specific audience that they do not want to lose, and also they have a specific audience that they do not want to invite. So luxurious brands specifically do things to keep the audience they do not want out from their product, out from that experience at all. And uh, no matter how harsh this sounds, this actually is correct. Okay, now what I'm assuming is that since I have not told it one thing, it can make this in HTML. So I'll quickly mention use React and the and Three.js. I also installed a very good library recently. I forgot the name. Okay, so actually I was going to tell it what to use, but before that it asked that to me itself, that what should I actually use, what stack should I build plant it on. So the first is React 3 Fiber with Ray White with GSAP. So GSAP and Linus are for scroll animation purpose built for okay, so I think R3F plus white. So what I'll do is I'll just ask it that R3F white Three.js and a library I installed very recently, Hero UI. Recently on this machine. So I have told it that it can use this tech stack, and anything else you use, because sometimes we want to give it a little bit of creative freedom. So I'm not even going to read this. How should the plants and a full 5 screen build. So now Claude is going to take a lot of time actually to make this. I'll just remove this from here, because it first tries to understand what the concept is, and everything actually falls back to what kind of a prompt you provided, and that is actually a very, very important thing. If your prompt is good, you are going to get a very good output. In the first go only, you would not have to retype the prompt, but a lot of times obviously there are a lot of iterations and maybe you do not get the desired results, and that is why reference images are very, very important. If you provide an AI with a lot of reference images, it is going to create wonderful websites. And another thing that I can do is I can also say, if you want any other asset from my end based on my request, please let me know. So I have also told it that if it needs another asset, because for now we have only given it one plant. So now based on our website, based on the story, it might require other things, but as it has Blender's access, it tries to create a lot of things on its own. And now I'll read this because this can be important. Now here are a few things that it says that it might need, which are optional, so I'm skipping them for now, but I think that after we get the first build, we would need to give it a few more assets, which is completely fine. And if you now come to the cost estimation, if you think of it, so Meshy.ai subscription actually costs around for the first month it's around 6 to 700 rupees, Indian rupees, for the first month, and you can create actually a lot of models in it. So actually I should show that to you. If I show that to you, yeah, right here, if you see on Meshy, I'll just exit and I'll show you the things that I have already made on Meshy. So if you look at this alien that I made for a virtual experience game that I am developing, if you'll see, it is also rigged. So rigging means that you provided your model with a skeleton. So as you can see, it walks like this and it runs like this, and actually very good if you ask me. Even for intermediate level, this is good. And this is, let me tell you, this is again single prompt. I haven't given it a lot of prompts. This is a single prompt and generated from a reference image again. And if you get this quality, this is actually a little bit, I would say, higher than intermediate quality if you go to designing yourself. And let me tell you that designing things yourself is actually very, very complicated. Now this is a gate that it made. Again, it looks very, very good. I wanted it for depicting sort of a hell gate, and again, if you'll see, it is very, very good for a game. And the quality, if you see, the quality is also top notch, and I really like it. If you can generate so many assets, and that too at such a low price, if you have a slight idea about how 3D generation is and how 3D assets are cost, so you would actually respect this pricing. And for now, coming back to this website, so considering the amount, I would say that we like this one thing is not even 50 rupees, or I would say maximum to maximum, you can say it costed us 100 rupees, which is again very, very, very much. So I would say that including the cost of ChatGPT and of Meshy and of Claude and each and every paid service that we'll be using, I would say that the cost of this website for us would not cross $20 max. And if you're obviously, if you're purchasing for one website only, then you would have to spend $20 on Claude and ChatGPT both. I have the $100 plan for both of these things, but if you are doing it for one website, so it will cost you around $50. And if you are planning to make a lot of websites and buying the pro versions like me, so this website would not even cost you $20. And if you include the hosting, the deployment and each and everything, then also it would be under $30. And you can easily sell it for at least $500 in the international market. So you can calculate the margins for yourself. And if not even 500, then a usual website is sold at around $700. So I think a high-end website priced at $500 is very, very good. But again, it comes down to how many websites you can deliver, and if you can maintain a very consistent quality, if you can write the prompts in that way, uh, if your designs are consistent. So it all comes down to that. But if you can do that, you can figure that out, the margins are really amazing. Now let us go back to Claude and see what it's doing. So it first makes an implementation plan, which I'm not going to read honestly. Now there is one other thing that you can do, which I think I'll be covering later on in this channel. That is immersive tech. So instead, imagine if you have a product, a luxury product, instead of just showing it on a website, you put it inside a VR. So you have a VR headset, your client have a VR headset, and they are wearing it and experiencing your product. So I think that is a very good thing to pitch, and I think that it is going to be a very, very, very good thing that is going to come up later on. And we'll be working on immersive tech a lot on this channel, because that is something that interests me highly. So now let us just wait for Claude to do its work. and I'll come back when it has generated something, and if it asks for anything from me, or if it requires an input, or if it gets done. That is when I'll be coming back. So let's wait. Alright, so Claude took about 1 hour approximately to make the entire thing in one go, and I'll quickly go to Chrome and check what it has made and if that looks good or not. Alright, so in the first uh, in the first look itself, it looks very great and very clean, in my opinion, especially considering the fact that it was built in just 1 hour. And if you look at the pot, it actually looks very, very good. And also, the text and everything, although we have only provided Claude with one asset only, and still it managed to make something like this. It's just incredible. So now if I'll scroll down, I'll see. Okay, so as you can see that Claude actually made this entire animation itself, all of this uh, separation part, because in our Meshy model this thing was not there at all, so Claude made it itself in Blender. And then if we'll move on, there are actually total 4 parts, I think. First, second, third, and then fourth, and then this is the last, fifth. So there are actually 5 parts, but in the last part there is a little bit of uh, overlap of text, as you can see. So if I'll go to inspect mode and I'll see that in a mobile phone, so I can see that there is a lot of overlapping, but that can be fixed later on. It's not a very big issue. I can add some background or something maybe, but overall the website actually look very, very, very good. But still there are a few things that we can add or maybe change in this website. But uh, for the first go, it actually looks very, very good. Now let me quickly just ask Claude for all the changes that I think there should be, or if I want to add something additionally, or if I want something more in this. And if you'll see that it just used 18% of my 5 hour limit and 2% of my weekly limit to make this entire thing, and it is very, very well optimized and responsive also. So now I'll tell it a few things. First is that now, as you can see, that this particular prompt is a bit more on the creative side. So what I'll do is that I'll shift this from Opus to Fable, and because this is the best designing model, I would say, that's out there. And also, one more thing that I would like to add here is that okay, I've also asked it to fix the overlap. I think now it is going to do that very well for me. But again, we have used a very high-end model, so the output generation for this is going to take some time, and we'll have to wait for that time being. uh, so we'll just do that, and after all this is done, we'll discuss about the deployment, we'll discuss a few more pointers and how much time it took, and for the whole thing to complete, and what all I could have done better, and if you try this, what all you can try. So we'll discuss all that right after this response, because this website in itself is pretty much complete. But again, this is not a complete website. This would need some tweaks to it, it would need some additions. It does not have a privacy policy page, it does not have other details, does not have a checkout, does not have anything that is more on the operations side of a website. This is just the visual side, but I think that this video is getting extremely long, so we'll try to cover the operations and other things later on, and I'll try to tell you how deployment actually works. I'll try to show you the deployment process, but for now, in for this particular video, we'll just stick to the front end designing. And once the front end designing is done, in some later video, we'll be adding products, we'll be making a catalog, and I'll be showing you actually how we can deploy this website live, and how do we connect it to domains and everything. So that's what we'll be doing after this generation is done. And as you can see that it's already been around 2 minutes, and it is still just thinking. It hasn't taken any action yet, and has already spent around 2000 tokens just in thinking. So Fable takes a lot of tokens, it takes a lot of usage, but it is no doubt a very, very, very good model to work, especially for development purposes. So let us just wait for it to generate, and let's see what it does. Okay, so it has stopped generating now, and I think it has done its work. So we'll check on Chrome once again. So now if I long press it like that, so you can see that it focuses just on the pot. By pot I actually meant that it should focus on the whole plant. It misunderstood that, but I think that is pretty doable. Okay, and now it has tried to add a joining sentence between all the sections, which I think is good, which is pretty good, and has added some text. The overlap issue, although, is still there, but I think it's good. Now to fix it, what we can do is we can take a screenshot and highlight this particular part, that this is getting overlapped, because AI naturally does not have a very good sense of color, and especially like this, that it would overlap or not. So AI does not have an understanding of that. But I overall like this thing of long pressing and it focusing on that. Obviously it's a very fixable thing. If I ask it to focus on the whole plant, it will do that very easily, very simply. It is a very simple thing, and I know it will do it. So this is our website that AI made, and now in responsive mode, the overlap is also gone from a lot of places, if you'll see. So yeah, it looks pretty decent. And now if I talk about uh, the time that it took me to make this entire website. So right now it is 4:16 a.m. and I started this at 1:30. So roughly 3 hours, but I did take a few breaks in between. So but I think still you can round it up to 3 hours or less, 2.5 hours or something. But I think it is pretty decent for such a short time frame, because usually developing such websites is usually it's weeks long, and it takes a good team. But if we can do it all by ourselves in just 3 hours, I think it is pretty good. It is very decent, it looks very nice. And now coming on to some other things like the deployment. So what we can do is I have connected my GitHub with Claude. So I can directly ask Claude to deploy it for me, or I can ask it to run Chrome on my browser. I can ask it to take my server's access, and it can deploy it directly for me. So Claude can actually do that, but we'll be doing that in some other video. So obviously this website can be refined a lot, but making a completely polished website is not the purpose of this video. It's how you can develop a website, because if you would have noticed, so this company does not even exist. I don't know if it does exist or not, but this is not an actual project that I was doing. This is just a demo thing. So for that we have made a very good website. And I think that I'll be using this as a demo later on once I refine it. So now I would say only 5% of the things are left in this website, and you all have understood how an AI website's workflow actually looks like. And I do not think if you will show this website to someone, they'll immediately say that it's AI generated. I do not think that at all. Rather, I think that this website does not look AI generated at all. And even if I saw it, I would have not called it an AI generated site at the first sight. So that is how you make a website. Now, the thing is that it's all in the concept. So as you saw that everything that I told it was a concept in my mind that I just had to convey to the AI. Now, the issue here is that if you'll not consume, you would not have these concepts, you know, because you would need to develop an artistic, creative mind in order to think for such ideas. Now, how does that happen? Because I would like to tell you today that nothing is actually very original. So even if you think that you have had an original idea, believe me, somewhere or the other, someone else must have had that idea. Okay, so how do you come up with something creative is how much are you consuming. So an original concept that you might have come up with could have been a mixture of two other rare concepts, okay, making yours even rarer, even rare or whatever. So that is how you come up with original ideas, with original concepts. That is how you get creative. The more you make, the more you consume, the more websites you see. So the more you go to CSS top websites awards, and then you see what are the best websites over there. So that is how you will understand that what good websites look like and what you can make. So do not shy away to experiment, make as many things as you can, and that is how you can actually create good websites, good looking websites. And that was it for this video. So I hope that I was able to provide something informational to you all, and if you felt so, you can always subscribe. And although this is our first video, I'm sure there must be a lot of imperfections in this, but with time I'll try to improve my video qualities. But I promise that they won't be less on information, and I'll be trying to share as much practical knowledge as much as possible, because at the end of the day we need the work done instead of understanding a lot of theory. Getting the work done is always better. So that is it, I think, for this video. And if you have any questions, any doubts, or you want to have a discussion, you can if you even have some suggestions, so you can drop that down in the comments. So, and I'll be replying for sure. You can also follow me on my Instagram, I'm quite active over there. So that's it for this video. I'll meet you in the next one, where most probably we'll either be exploring immersive tech, or we'll be learning about deployment using AI. But the deployment video would be pretty short, so I think that we'll be going into immersive tech, or maybe we'll be making a Next.js professional website. But whatever it would be, it will be pretty interesting. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.